Okay, so I want to clarify what we mean when we say image. Um, so an image appeals to the senses. So it's going to have to appeal to your sense of sight, taste, touch, sound, whatever, right? So it has to appeal to the senses. And so for an image to appeal, for words on the page to appeal to your senses, it has to be more complex than just saying somebody walked into a room or somebody ran across, just ran, right? It has to offer something descriptive about it. Um, Often, but not always, that means using adjectives or adverbs, or some kind of phrasing like a present participial phrase or past participial phrase that acts as an adjective or an adverb in the process. So let's look at this stanza from Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean, but as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window, should say, "That is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all." Okay, so this is good example of what it actually classifies as an image and what doesn't classify as an image. So first of all, let's look at the third line. No images in the first line, no images in the second line. Third line, let's look. Some people might say, oh yeah, sunset, that's an image. It just says sunset. If it said red sunset or blazing sunset or, throbbing or something, sunset, then you'd have an image. But just saying sunset really isn't much of an image. It is a reference, it's a detail, okay? And so you could talk about sunsets and, what's associated with sunsets and what people, feel about sunsets, et cetera, et cetera. But that calling it as an image isn't correct. Neither is calling dooryards an image correct. Sprinkled streets is an image, right? Sprinkled with what? Obviously rain, right? It's set in London, okay? Sprinkled streets, right? That appeals more to the senses than just saying. Now, some of you may say, but sunsets, I get a strong. It's not enough on the page. I'm looking at the words on the page, okay? You can certainly write about sunsets, just don't call it an image. That's all I'm saying. Same for novels, teacups, skirts, individually. Now, I can take these as a group, novels, teacups, and skirts, right? And I can say that as a group, this creates a sense, or skirts that trail along the floor. Well, first of all, skirts that trail along the floor clearly is an image, right? It clearly tells you what it really looks like. And you can say that the novels and the teacups are of the same kind of family as the skirts that trail along the floor, saying that their images aren't really correct, okay? So remember, it has to be descriptive. The magic lantern through the nerves and patterns on a screen, that gives us a sense. Essentially, a magic lantern is just a projection device, right? And then finally, the woman who is settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window. That gives a clear sense of something, of what something looks like here. And most imagery tends to be either visual or auditory, like how something sounds. Yes, there is obviously all the other senses as well, but visual imagery and auditory imagery tend to be the most prominent, okay? So just remember, it has to actually describe, right?